Broadcast loud and clear. Every episode's a vibe. Memories and tales of old. Legends grow, the stories unfold. Hard times turn to gold. In this world we hold our own. For the homies we ride, together side by side. Broadcast loud and clear. Every episode's a vibe. Voices join in harmonies, echoes of our histories. Homies keeping it real true. Every week something new.
Go, baby.
Let's go.
Hello, everybody. It's Thursday night. You know what that means. It's another exciting episode of For the Homies podcast. And before we get to introduce the Black Stan Lee himself, Jake, how's it going, brother?
Phantom, it is going well. I specifically grabbed the one tank top that I had. On this occasion, I did also grab a hat, but my head is really big, so I wasn't able to wear it. So sorry, couldn't exactly match you. Hello, everyone. My name is Jacob. I'm Big Dog Jake, BIGGDOGGJAKE. I am a professional, though occasional, voiceover actor. I'm a political writer for hire. I love video games and I love metal music, and I will talk to anyone about them. And I do this show for the homies, for my homies, like MMA Crease. Crease, how are you doing, my friend?
Well, I'm gonna give it to Ebola real quick before I announce Eric, but I'm doing good. Ebola, how you doing, man?
I'm doing good as well.
Thanks, Ebola.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks, Ebola. So, guys, I promise you, he's here. This is my friend. This is my buddy, my Texas brethren. I call him the Black Akira Toriyama because he is starting to get into anime soon. And so, everybody, I want to introduce our friend, our homie, Eric July. How you doing today, brother?
Let's
What's
go.
up? What's up? Appreciate that introduction, man. I'm hoping everybody's doing well, man. And I really do appreciate y'all having me on tonight, man. Looking forward to the conversation.
And we appreciate you showing up for us. It really does mean a lot. Truly does. Thank you.
For sure, man.
Okay,
this was a hard thing to do, man. But yeah, we're glad that you're here. Let's look at that chat, man. How they doing out there, man?
Yeah, chat's been popping off for, gosh, a while now.
We got some shout outs in the chat.
I want to give a quick shout out to the first person in here other than ourselves, which is Chronically Mayhem, our good friend Sophie, saying hail to the chat and hail to you, Sophie. We really appreciate seeing you. Risk is coming in here saying taking care of business. And we want dirty deeds. We do want them dirty deeds. Oh, man. And we even have a regular who is always commenting, who's always here. You can give or say, woo, not a comic book fan, but here for the boys anyway. And you know what? We're here for you, and we appreciate you showing out.
We appreciate it, man.
So very much. And then, really quickly after that, we had the Sasuke sisters coming in, hailing chat, throwing up hearts.
Yeah, we got to get you on the show. We got to get you on the show.
We got to get you on the show. Ripper, you need to tell them, you're the boss. They need to come on the show.
we'll get them all. Yeah.
and we got a sighting of drunk 3PO.
Yes.
What's up? What's up, Jay? What's up, bro?
What's up, Jay?
We did have Jay.
Good friend of the channel.
If I can find him in the chat. Yeah.
Okay.
Said if this Eric July person works hard, he might have a shot. You know what, Jay? I agree. If this fine young man works hard and just takes that business acumen and his entrepreneurship and really just, puts
man.
the road, tears ass down.
Literally, he can make millions off his comics, man. He can make millions off his comics.
It's not that he just made $1 million from failing, right? He just kept on failing.
Okay, so hey, what's up, Mo? So I'm a big, huge comic book fan, and so I got a couple things I want to ask you. But one of the things is, so I'm always been a fan of the Justice League and the Avengers. Are you gonna create a group like that in the Rippaverse?
Good question. I think that there's a lot of people that have asked about that, and I'm not against it at all. I would want it to happen in an organic fashion, mainly because we want to make sure that you're getting accustomed to these characters because we have a big universe to build. I think one of the big reasons why some of those types of teams work is because the individual characters that are part of those groups had a lot of room to grow, so you got to know them, so it made it much more of an epic moment when there was a time that they needed to collaborate, maybe to take care of some sort of threat. So I'm not against it at all. Will it happen? I'm sure eventually it will, as we start to build out and flesh out this universe and there becomes a time for certain characters to team up. I believe that'll happen when it's appropriate. So we're not against crossovers, we're not against team ups. It's just that we want to make sure that moment is special when that does happen and when that time comes. So we're just building the characters individually, but I think something like that will for sure at some point happen.
Absolutely.
So basically, 100% no multiverses like you always say in the past. No multiverses.
It's not happening. You don't have to worry about that. It won't happen.
And
everybody always messes up time travel, and giving your characters like a number of years for people to fall in love with is you don't want to do what freaking DC did with Superman and then the Justice League just a few short years out, which is just an abysmal decision, which is now being redone, hopefully in a better way. James Gunn, looking to you. Oof.
And my other thing is I'm a huge Chuck Dixon fan.
Oh yeah.
Nightfall is my favorite Batman series of all time. And when he put that out is when I started reading Batman again. Batman is my all-time favorite comic book hero of all time. I mean, I have the bat symbol tattooed on my arm. I'm a huge Batman nut. So how did that come about? You landing probably one of the greatest comic book writers, and he created Bane, for Christ's sake, one of the greatest Batman villains of all time.
Yeah.
No, it's kind of crazy.
How did you land him, man? It's like something about this, like, man. Bravo.
Well, first of all, it's still surreal for me to even be working with him, and especially now, like he's really cemented himself as one of the main core writers here. He's done a lot of work between not just Alpha Core and characters that that are part of Alpha Core that even I created. You have the original ones like Horseman and Zaylan, and he's doing the Great War Separation. So many different books and material that he's doing, and to your point, back then, that was like when I first started getting into comic books, he was a really prominent writer during those times, and it's awesome to be in a position now to be able to work alongside him, learn from him as well, and I appreciate him being here. But as far as that happening, it was one of those things that was just organic, man. Similar to what happened with even Saskas being brought on, where obviously I got familiar with their work, and Chuck Dixon's work, just being a fan of comics. And once the thing blew up the way that it did with ISOM #1, one of the things that I realized very quickly is that, okay, well, I've caught the lightning in the bottle, and now I have to do something with it. So I have to get people that are going to help me flesh this universe out. And it was just one of those things where he was available, right? It wasn't, it was, and it just like, and the Saskia can attest to that, like it was a shot in the dark. Just because I had maybe crossed paths with them and discussed some things with them that had nothing to do with the Rippaverse does not mean that they're going to want to do work for me. But I just said, I have nothing to lose. The worst that they can tell me is no. And that was kind of what happened with Chuck Dixon. It was like, I know he's available. We have something to show for it. He knows that we're taking this seriously. This isn't something that he's going to waste his time on. And he was like, yeah, I'm in. I'm in. And we make sure we take care of him. And he's now again a staple. He's just really a core part of the entire team. And I'm blessed to have him here.
Yeah.
And so I got Kreese to ask you this question back at MegaCon, and I'm actually glad I get to ask you now. So, you have your trinity of Batman, Wonder Woman, and Superman.
Mhm.
Who is the trinity of the Rippaverse?
Well, it seems like right now, organically, it's happened the way that it has with Brian and the Yaira and Isom, right? Those are the three characters that we see a lot of people working towards. Right now, we even put out, the Rippaverse Trinity Volume 1 that starred, technically the entirety of Alpha Core, but it had those three, mainly because, again, that's all audience driven. If, we'll see what happens 3 years from now as we continue to flesh these characters out, if there's other characters that people love and they maybe become more popular. But right now, those are the three characters that people just absolutely love. Alpha Core as a team, obviously, but Yaira and Isom as individual characters. And we're a customer-driven company as well. So that can all change. We're open to it. If there's a new character like Horseman is slowly but surely becoming one of our more popular characters now, and people love them. People love them. So that's the fun thing about this whole experience here with the comic book creation is that you can have your ideas and you can put them out there and you can have all the belief and confidence in the world, but ultimately customers are going to gravitate towards wherever they gravitate. And it's been fun seeing people say, oh, well, this is my favorite character. That is my favorite character.
Yeah.
And again, if a few years from now that changes and we have some other characters that are more popular than others, then great. Now that's a good problem to have. But right now that does seem the three characters that most people seem to love.
I mean,
I got one question. I got one question for you, Eric, real quick. So I know you don't like self inserts. I know you don't. Like we all don't, or whatever. But I'm just saying, when I see the artwork between you and Az as Ripper in the Silverback, and Az being the Silverback, I'm telling you, man. Listen, maybe just maybe you could just make a comic book like some little Horseman versus Silverback type of book. I'm just saying, it's like he could be like Craven the Hunter like Craven of the Hunter of Horseman. I'm like, that's my pitch. That's my only pitch. I mean, come on, he's like right there.
I got an idea about that. Have it where Az is on. He's playing his video game. And all of a sudden, he's playing like Starfield. It's like the rant scene around the world. And the moment he starts ranting, he turns into the Silverback. It's like a whole type of situation.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Like, I would love to see Az Silverback in the Horseman universe. Like, I would love to see it. Like, him versus Horseman. Like, that could be like his Bane or something, or the Craven the Hunter thing. I know it's a self-insert, but man, whoever was your artist did a pretty damn good job.
It was Will Conrad. Will Conrad did that original art. Big shout out to Will. He's obviously the artist on a lot of our work he's done. He did Gooding for Polymath. He's done a lot of our covers. He does all of our trading cards as well. But yeah, it was kind of some ideas that I pitched with him. Wanted him to kind of showcase his creativity. We had some ideas for the design, and I said, hey, just like figure it out. And he came up with that. But yeah, it has been cool. Az and I have talked about, is there a tasteful way, for us to, if not to do like an entire comic or something, but at least to do a nod, like to that whole,
a lot of people want to see it, man. Like,
you're not wrong. You're not wrong. You're not wrong at all. So it may be something cool we can do just for a nod. Maybe there's a tasteful
small little sainted sinners. Like, what if Horseman has a delusion, so he gets hit with some poison or something, and he's like from the Scarecrow or something, and he starts to see illusions of the Silverback or something. I'm just saying,
those are some solid ideas. Those are some decent ideas for sure.
I mean, if everybody's just throwing shots down the alley and pitching stuff, I'll pitch mine. I want to be the Horseman. I'm 6'6", I'm 285. I hit the gym when I can.
I respect that.
I'm a professional BOA, so
I have to say so on this very show, the night when you announced Horseman and we all found out it was Dean Cain, we literally shouted that comic book out for a good while on
appreciate
this
it.
show. It's like
Appreciate
Dean Cain is beloved Superman, and it's like when we saw that, I'm like,
it.
I'm tell you right now, if you would ever produce a web show make anime with that, oh my, you'll make gangbusters.
Yeah.
It'd be very popular.
Yeah, Dean is awesome. Big shout out to the Soskas as well. I mean, we've had opportunities to connect with Dean, and they obviously worked on that film with Dean, which I think came about. I don't know if it's 10 years to the day that it got released. I saw some posts. I know Soskas in the chat. But I saw a post like that was like 10 years ago. I think that film with Dean and them and that come out. But yeah, Dean's awesome dude. He's very supportive of us. He wants to do the the animated stuff, and we got a lot of plans definitely with the overhaul of our like membership website. I think there's going to be some opportunities there to really push forward with some animated stuff, and I'm really, really excited, man. Dean's awesome. Big shout out.
Yeah, Dean Cain he's a great guy as well, and
Yeah.
I remember so vividly when the announcement came out that he was going to be a part of what you've created, because I don't know if you're aware of the Unsubscribed podcast, but he appeared on the Unsubscribed podcast like within the same week, I think, of that announcement going out, and I put those two together in my mind. I was like, it's going to be epic.
Superman.
Yeah,
He's awesome.
Actually getting Superman on, which is crazy. And
Yep.
again, like I said, Dean Cain's a fantastic guy.
I mean, like for myself, when I seen the Horseman, I'm like, oh yeah, Rippa's finally got his Punisher of the Rippaverse in Horseman. I can definitely see the similarities between Punisher and Horseman. I'm like, oh, this is gonna be glorious. And Dean Cain's voice, I'm like, man, he went from Superman to the probably in my view, your whole universe has been awesome to watch grow. And seeing these characters coming, starting with Isom, and then you did Yaira, then you did Horseman, and then Alpha Core, and you got Blood Ruth coming, Blood Ruth, all these complex characters. We have a guy in chat, he's a good friend of ours, Atomic Patriot. We were talking to him last night, and he really wants to start doing videos, doing the lore of the Rippaverse. And
I would love to see that.
And he buys your comments all the time. He talks about your stuff all the time. And we were like having a powwow last night, and he's a huge fan. He gets your stuff all the time. And he's like, guys, I really want to do lore videos talking about Rippaverse. I'm like, dude, just do it. Just do it.
Look, that goes for you, everybody. We love to see that. We're really interactive with you guys. This is stuff that we would love to share out as well. We retweeted and all that good stuff. So yeah, feel free to do any of those types of videos and content create around the Rippaverse. Show your enthusiasm. We love to see that stuff all the time. And like I said, I'd have no problem retweeting that type of material, making sure we get as many eyes on it. So yeah, go ahead, man. I mean, you guys, customers, fans are what's gonna make this thing, keep going. So go right ahead, man. We love to see that.
And Jake, I do believe that we have a question from Sophie. She wants to ask Rippa.
Yeah. So Sophie did ask a question, and I was very specific about, hey, let's try and keep things calm and chill and loose a little bit. Let's not just bombard Eric with business stuff. But we'll have one question in here. Sophie is asking, does the hardcover for Saints and Sinners, include all of the covers?
No, it's the hardcover is just another cover. That's again like a little hardback. So it'll have obviously all the stories, same, but it's just an additional cover, because the reason why we did that is because the covers A, B, C, and whatever, those have depictions of the other writers, right? So you have Critical Drinker, his story, you have Az's story, Jay's story, Mauler's story, but we didn't have a cover for ours, like myself and the Soskas. So that was our idea, to do a cover that depicted ours, and Jeans did a great job on it, and it turned out great. So yeah, it's just a hardback version of Saints and Sinners, issue number 1.
Bet.
Now,
Well, I was gonna say,
go ahead, Chris.
I was gonna say, since I know you've done a lot of business stuff or whatever, but I think we probably want to kind of go ahead and move on and just go ahead
Let's
and
have
get
a
into
little
some
fun.
of the fun stuff. But
Yeah.
let's have some little fun and everything. So
Yeah.
before we do Superman trailer, Rippa, I really want to know, since you is a Black Panther fan. Yeah, he's kind of looking like my boy Phantom a little bit. Like he's the king of Wakanda now. He's making Wakanda great again. So he's he's from the Mount of Caucasus and everything, and he's pretty much a white man. So how do you feel about that?
Interesting that they went that route. They brought back, I believe, Christopher Priest, and he's on that. And I'm not sure the angle they're taking with that. I can't say. But to be fair to them, Black Panther in general has been something that they haven't been able to crack the code with. Maybe in the cinematic universe, they had a little, decent run there, especially with that first movie. Yeah. But they've had some trouble with handling him in the books. I mean, it went really crazy with Ta-Nehisi Coates and the whole intergalactic Wakanda stuff. That wasn't none of that stuff was really sitting well. Yeah, it wasn't sitting well with the audience, and it just really wasn't landing. So it's not just with him. It's like one of those characters, they've been around for so long, it doesn't seem like they know the direction that they want to go with them. So they're kind of like just throwing stuff at the wall and hoping it sticks. And this may be another example of that. Like they're just trying to figure it out because they don't really know what to do with the character.
I think for me,
I'm sorry, Phantom, if I may, real quick, not to get political, but as political, if you guys don't know who Ta-Nehisi Coates is, maybe look up some of his published academic works to see what you think about that. That's all I'm going to say. Leave it at that.
Yeah, interesting cat.
I think
yeah,
for
he's
me,
an interesting cat, all right.
I think for me, peak Black Panther is when he married Storm. That was peak for me with him, and then it's like after that, it was going really good, and then it just went down in the toilet. I mean,
because they keep on switching the mantle, however. So
now, like myself, I love the first Black Panther movie for what it was. The second one, I watched it on Disney Plus, and I'm like, they should have recasted. They should. We know that they had a script that they literally threw out when Chadwick Boseman died, and the guy that directed the movie wrote it in 3 days. And then they took Namor and literally screwed him up. And it's like that's how you should have introduced mutants into the MCU, was with Namor, because he is the first mutant. Right. Hands down. He was. That's what Stan Lee said he was. He was the first mutant. So what are your thoughts on how they destroyed these characters? I've watched the streams. I've watched your videos. I know you have something to say about it.
Yeah, it's a lot of the direction that they took, not just with the Marvel Cinematic Universe, but with books as well. I mean, I'm being completely transparent, and that was a lot of that had to do with kickstarting kind of the Rippaverse, and that I was like, man, not really liking the direction that some of this stuff is going, and I just want to be a part of the solution. And so that. Bam, then the Rippaverse comes. But yeah, it's the same problem. It's that they don't really know what to do with these with these characters, and a lot of it is when you think about how massive some of these companies are, right? Like some of them, like more definitely in the case of Marvel and DC, they're huge, and they're attached to these billion-dollar corporate entities. There's probably 70 people that are chiming in on what needs to happen here and why it needs to happen. And They have the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and that's been very impactful to kind of the decisions that they make as well. As far as with some of the newer content that happens, they want to do things that not necessarily that are cohesive, but generally speaking, you'll see something weird happen in the like let's say the cinematic universe, and then they'll try to force it into its main universe as well, as far as the comic books, because they don't really, again, they're just kind of just figuring it out, and they don't really seem to have a plan with their publication stuff. I mean, at least that's the feeling. I don't want to say that they don't have some guys in there that are decent artists or anything. I don't want to say that at all, but just creatively, they don't really have a whole lot of direction, and this is why we feel like we're kind of in this odd period for mainstream comics right now. With the publication, again, I'm specifically referring to the comics. We know what's happening with the universes, Marvel Cinematic Universe, as well as DC now jumpstarting it or trying to kickstart it with the Superman movie. But it's the same problem that they all suffer, and I don't know if some of that has to do with the pool of talent that they have access to, or who they're trying to bring in. It's a crime, as an example, that a guy like Chuck Dixon was even available, right? He's your Batman writer, he's your Punisher writer. But they're not bringing guys like him in there anymore. They're going with these other guys that, they have other things going for them. So it's a lack of direction. That's the feeling that you get from the customer's perspective. I say this as a guy that, I was spending several hundreds of dollars each week buying new comics. I was covering them, and I just don't. They don't know what they're doing. They don't know what they're doing. And look, that tends to happen when you're trying to attach yourself and your company to various other things that have absolutely nothing to do with the characters or the stories. It has more to do with, like, okay, there's a box that I want to check. There's this political thing going down. I want to make sure that I somehow can tie that into what's going on, or the social issues that I want to make sure. When you get to focusing on all that, it's very easy to lose direction, to lose cohesiveness within your universe. So I think that's a lot of the feeling that at least I got from my perspective when I was collecting these comics each week, or buying these comics each week and reading them. And I think oversaturation is also a big problem as well. It was certainly one when I was still reading these books. There's 17 different Spider-Man comics coming out at the same time, makes it almost impossible to keep up with whatever's going on. So there are a lot of self-inflicted wounds that they have, and they're just trying to figure it out, I guess.
Yeah.
Well,
oversaturation is a massive issue.
Yeah.
Also, if you think, like, here lately in the MCU, it's in the movie universe, they're bringing failed comic books to the big screen.
Yeah.
Like we're about to get Riri Williams' Ironheart show, which her comic book failed quick, fast, in a hurry.
DOA.
Kamala Khan, how many times has Kamala Khan been like canceled, brought back, canceled again?
Stretchy McGee.
And then the biggest offender of them all, they made Sam Wilson the Captain America in the cinematic universe when his comic book failed.
Yeah.
Even after they didn't have the balls to give an actual Falcon.
Yeah. All that had to do with, again, that era, that 2014 to 20 that around that time where they did the whole all new, all different stuff. And that's when you started to get a lot of these characters. That's when you started to get a lot of these characters that they are focusing on right now. And they were basically these replacements for the other characters. Like, your Jane Foster Store. You had obviously Kamala Khan becoming Miss Marvel. Miss Marvel became Captain Marvel. With was it Kate Bishop and some of these other characters that they all came from that same era. Riri Williams, they all came from that era there, and clearly they were trying to fast track them within their cinematic universe. It became even with what's going on with like Wiccan and all those guys, like it was all like forced, and it felt, and look, the audience customers pick up on that. Like I sniffed that out immediately. And it's funny looking at this video that I did way back when. talking about, hey guys, watch, they're about to fast track all of these characters.
You're right.
And I
You
was
were right.
Yeah,
funny,
you called it. You called it,
like,
man.
Yeah, it was like 2 months ago. I went and looked at that video. I was like, wow, I called it straight that they were going to bring in all these characters from that specific era. And it wasn't just that they brought them in, it was that it was a forced thing. That's why it didn't work.
Right.
It wasn't like done in this natural, organic way. It was more of, okay, we want these characters and we want you to love them. We'll reboot them as many times as we need to, but we need you to love these characters. And yeah, it didn't work back then because of how it was done, specifically how it was done. It didn't work, and then here you are in the in Marvel Cinematic Universe. And you have all these versions of the characters that nobody really asked for at all, and it just creates for a very weird situation.
It's pretty much that thing, Rippa. Like if you go to a restaurant, you order a hamburger, and then they say like, "Nah, why? Like we want you to have this hot dog." Well, I don't want the hot dog. No, we highly recommend that you want the get this hot dog, and you're gonna like it. And if you don't like it, you can get out. Well,
essentially,
and also we know they're desperate now because they're bringing Robert Downey Jr. and putting him as Dr. Doom, which I had a epic rant on that because it's like it's retarded they're bringing him back as Dr. Doom.
Yeah,
and we know that Fantastic Four is going to flop. We know that they've had to bring the Russos back. They bring Robert Downey Jr. back, and we know the reason why they're doing that is because Deadpool and Wolverine is the last Marvel movie that actually made $1 billion. It made $1 billion. Why?
Most recent
cameos, jingling the keys, and that's the reason why they fast track, Doomsday and Secret Wars, and I believe after Secret Wars they're going to reboot the whole series, and it's going to be just as terrible.
They are confirmed that they're going to. They said they're going to reboot.
In fandom, you bring up a good point, which I wanted to tie into something, Eric, that you said. Which, well, first off, you mentioned how you spend hundreds of dollars a week looking at comic books. So you obviously not only consume comics for leisure, but also probably for research, I imagine.
Oh yeah, most definitely.
And you obviously have spotted a long time ago that the constant reintroduction of characters that they're forcing and pushing on people, that's obviously something that you caught and said, okay, we are absolutely not going to do that. And we can circle back to just, 25 minutes ago when you mentioned how, if there's going to be a team up in your universe, it's going to happen. It's going to have to happen naturally. You want the characters to be fleshed out. You want to give people time to enjoy the characters, to like the characters, become fans of the characters, fall in love with the characters even. And so I guess this is more of a statement than a question, I suppose. So pardon me, but I feel that as far as the print side of Marvel or DC or even Image or what have you goes, as long as they are going to continue this process of, all right, we have a new version of this character, let's push it out. Oh, it only sold 78 copies this week. Okay, hire a new writer, bring in somebody else, put in new artists, whatever. And just doing this over and over again. Obviously, they're running writers ragged, regardless of your opinions of them. They're running artists ragged, regardless of your opinions of them. I'm sure there are creative directors that are smashing their heads against walls every day. And you have gone about this over the past number of years in a way that genuinely works, in a way that has cultivated naturally a grassroots fan base that supports you immensely. And I guess I could tie this back to a question. What was I don't want to ask too complicated, but what was the original impetus for you to decide, you know what, not only am I going to try and do this, but I want to do this the way I think it should have been done. If I was the head of Marvel's print division, this is how I would do it.
Good question.
And I'm going to prove that it can be done, and this is the way it should be done.
Fantastic question, because it's more of like one moment, or less one moment, and more like a gradual point to where I got to where it's like, I just can't do this anymore, and I need to do something that's part of the solution. Now, again, if people that follow my channel, I had done reviews. Most of them are actually positive, believe it or not, on comics, just from the big two. And it got to a point to where I'm like covering all this stuff, and I'm like, man, the good or the bad is starting to outweigh the good. And a lot of it wasn't just even quote unquote wokeness. It was more, they had the continuity issues. They're really, really annoying. Where it felt like an absolute free for all over there, where nobody cared about continuity, cohesiveness. Everybody's just trying to tell these like stories, and whatever happens, even if it conflicts with an event that's happening in a book that's coming out at the same time.
Simple writing errors, like I said, with continuity, like things like that should not be an issue,
right? Yeah, and that's obviously the importance of having like editors that care and leaders in it, because it's not, you're not going to have perfection by any means, but customers, readers, fans, whatever you want to call them, we
all pay attention to this stuff.
Yes, exactly. They nerd out about that type of stuff, so they know when you're falling short on it. So for me, I've always been a creative guy. Being in the music business, writing my entire life, I was like, you know what? I've seen a lot of success in the past when I do my original creation. And instead of just constantly griping, I have a creative bone in my body, and I'm also in a most importantly, in a financial position to be able to make this thing come to life. Why don't I give it a shot? And I was trying to do things the right way so that we didn't write ourselves in a corner early on. So with our Universe Bible and building that out and making sure everybody's on the same page. And when I brought in writers, we have our writers meetings, and everybody understands that it's nothing personal.
That sounds familiar.
It's somebody, if I see another story and I'm like, this is something that we need to take into consideration. Nobody's taking it personal that I'm saying that, or if something like Carol says something, or Saska is like, you're not taking it personal that, okay, we need to make some adjustments because this doesn't, or this conflicts with another event, or conflicts with something else that we're doing, because everybody here cares about it. So that's all foundational. And this is an advantage that I had that a lot of these other guys didn't. I mean, I'm being absolutely fair to them. It's hard to be, I don't want to be, I guess I am being fair to them, because they did reboot their universes a million times, and they did still screw it up, at least with in DC's case. But, those characters, definitely these characters have been around 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, and some of the case like
you should know them.
Yeah, like you know these characters, you know who they are. And I get like you didn't maybe create them with the idea in mind they were going to be part of this extravagant, massive, connected universe. But let's get the train on the tracks. And I didn't believe that they were going to ever do it. So I figured, like, why don't I? This is what I loved about comics. And I know there's a fan base out there for it. And that's the important thing that I think a lot of people lose sight of with the success of the Rippaverse, and that they don't understand why, right? It's not simply about, hey, I wanted to create this comic, and I got these artists that have been around. No, like that's only part of it, and can only sell it, so it can only have it go so far.
Right.
The thing that we led with was our universe. That was what we talked about from day one when I first announced the Rippaverse. It was all about like, okay, we have this universe, we have these characters that we're going to have you get invested in, and what we have is a commitment. It's in our ethics, code of ethics. We have a commitment to making sure that we're paying attention to the type of work that we're coming out with. And look, like I said, there's not going to be perfection, but we go into it at least prioritizing it. So, if there is something that does conflict with something, we can resolve it quickly, because we actually care about that. And it's all about the vision. And that's why the Rippaverse worked in the way that it has, because I'm selling you not just on the now, I'm selling you on what this is going to become. And I'm showing you, like we're showing you by what we're putting out, that look, this is something that we absolutely care about. So I went from hoping and wishing that I was going to get that from some of the bigger dogs to I'll just do it myself and give it a shot. And customers willing. You guys help take this thing to the top. So now it's at the point to where we're trying to fine tune it, continue to grow, but we're fine tuning it, finding ways that we can constantly improve. But it's all about the characters, and it's all about the connected universe for sure.
Absolutely.
Well,
and
I mean,
just real quick, if I may, just 3 things that I picked up on that chat that you guys are listening, I want you guys to pay attention to. and that is, I guess I'll go in inverse order to what Eric was saying. First off, if you're going to release a product that has an extended timeline like this, I don't want to demean it by calling it a product, but releasing a series of things over time. First off, let the fans know that you're not laying the tracks down in front of you as you go. Let them know that you can see the horizon and you're continuing to go. Number one.
Right.
Number two, if you have a team together, that team should not be afraid of constructive criticism, either giving it or receiving it. And obviously a big number three, if you're going to create something as big as having even just 2 separate characters, but especially many more, the very, very first thing you should do is, like Eric said, lay out the universe beforehand. Set those ground rules. Set out those timelines. Put together your bubble charts or whatever. And when you have that set in stone, keep it set in stone. Stick to it. Don't break from it. That's just going to confuse things further down the line.
Yep.
So
No, you put it perfectly,
advice.
man. Put it perfectly.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
And another thing, also, if you want people to like come back and buy your products, put out your product. Put your product out. Put your stuff out. Don't on time
and on time. Yes,
that's important.
And
on time.
It's nothing to sleep on. It's important.
And one of the things that you've talked about in the past that I wholeheartedly agree with you on, I am sick of origins of established characters. I think the one thing that Marvel did do right with Spider-Man when they rebooted the movie series for their stuff, they did not give Spider-Man an origin because we already know about Uncle Ben. We already know about the spider bite. That was like one of the things that I actually liked about it. The thing that also hurts is that, like we're about to get to the Superman stuff. Is like, my thing with James Gunn. I love the first 2 Guardians of the Galaxy movies. I think the second one is not up to par for me, but a lot of people do love it. I hate what they did with Alan Warlock. Alan Warlock is probably one of the biggest characters in the Infinity Gauntlet, Infinity War, and they literally made him a 3-year-old little kid, and that was heartbreaking. For myself, when it comes to like the James Gunn universe, I've said this before. I had issues with the suit. I had issues with, I don't think Nathan Fillion is Guy Gardner. He should have been Hal Jordan because he voiced Hal Jordan in the cartoons for a long time. Do you have faith that James Gunn is going to do good, or do you think it's going to fall harder than Brandon Lee did on the set of The Crow?
Oh man, I don't, and look, I don't say this because it's like because I know if I say no, that I'd had no faith, and then you're gonna have people that, oh well, you're just ragging on these guys, and that's not the case.
You're just a hater.
That's what they're gonna tell you. But
that cry, you're just drinking the haterade now.
Yeah, and that's not the case. I mean, I've invested a lot of money in this company. You know what I mean? That's
obviously
Batman bookcase back
life.
there. I look, I didn't think that he was the guy to head the universe at all. I was I voiced that initially. Not a fan. I think they had plenty of opportunities to get someone else to sort of run the show. I don't really even know from the universe standpoint what specifically it was that James Gunn had offered that made you think that he was the guy. So it's less about him being even a part of it. If you wanted to give him a team, maybe I wouldn't have been as vocal as I was initially. But you gave him the entire universe, and I was like, "Look, man, there's nothing that he's done to show that's like he's the guy there."
Right.
So me and Az have talked about this. It's like we're big DC guys. Like I'm a big Marvel and DC guy. He's bigger DC over Marvel guy. So it's like it's surely we would love for there to be a universe and the cinematic side that's good, like that's solid, that has proper adaptations and have as accurate depictions of characters. but I don't think that James Gunn is the guy that could even do that. Like, I'm just being completely honest. I didn't believe it initially, and I from what I've seen, it's a hard sell, man. For me on this, I just don't
Well,
know.
So,
Well,
Well,
fans,
so-
if I may,
I was going to say,
before you
Yeah.
guys cook on this, why don't we go ahead and
Yeah.
take a look at this?
yeah,
new
I was going to
trailer?
say,
yeah.
And
yeah, let's like crack out that trailer, man. Like, we want to
Well,
see
we can
your
talk-
reaction on this. Yeah,
Well,
dude,
what's
we
going
want to see
on?
how you feel.
Do you
Yeah, we
think
want to see
that-
how you feel.
Do you think they should have went with Matt Reeves running the universe?
It's hard to say who. Like, again, I guess that's one thing. I don't know who exactly you go with, right, to at least run the show. What I do believe is that he wasn't the guy. Like, that's what I definitively believe, that he just and I'm just going off of what he did with Suicide Squad or Guardians. Like, this is a different animal, taking these characters that only I'm the one that's gonna gripe about it, right? Like, where when I see a character get ran into the ground because I'm like, who is this character? They don't act like they're supposed to act. One of my biggest issues with Guardians was Drax. For example, I didn't like
totally
how
different
they
character in the movie.
it's not Drax the Destroyer by any means. So he doesn't do that very well. But the reason why it works, especially for the audience, more the normie audience, is because it's a group of characters that not a whole lot of people know much about. Even Peacemaker,
Mm-hmm.
like John Cena. This flew under the radar. It was an interview, I can't remember with who, with John Cena was talking about that he went to James Gunn willing to read old Peacemaker books to try to learn more about the characters, and James Gunn specifically told him not to do that. Like, he specifically
That's messed up.
Yeah, he told him not to do that because he didn't want him basically to have a frame of reference, because basically, again, they're just a character in name only, and they're doing their own thing. They may loosely take some things that are like nods to some of the books, but it's not really the character. So that's his MO.
Yeah.
That's what he does.
Yeah.
So if
James
you
Gunn
can get
wants
away
that
with
blank
it,
slate
right,
'cause
exactly.
he wants all the credit.
Exactly. So
Yeah.
you can get away with that, though.
We see in the marketing.
You get away with that with some of these lesser known characters. Now you're dealing with Superman.
Right.
So
Yeah.
that's a different animal, man. And that's why I was like, I just don't
Well,
believe that
let's
he's the guy.
watch the trailer and see how you
My-
feel about this Rippa.
See the
My
consequences
my
of some of
thing
those
is
decisions in
my
this
thing
movie.
is if Superman fails, I am 100% worried about Batman.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Mhm.
All right.
Well,
so
let's
check
watch the
this out
Superman
here.
trailer.
Yeah. Let's give it a go in 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. To anyone. And
Yeah.
what does it matter? Like, seriously.
Mm.
Seriously,
Now, a lot of
why-
people are, yeah, a lot of people think that this is, they already put out the ticket sales between Fantastic Four and Superman already, and they said that Superman already crushed Fantastic Four already, and Fantastic Four put out their ticket sales earlier. So I don't know how you feel about that, Ripper. Do you think that, there's some enthusiasm, like you always keep on saying?
Well, yeah, he has. Look, he has the advantage of this being the first movie that essentially is launching this new universe, right? So
Yeah.
people are going to be far more willing to give it a shot than they would with something that is already established. So you have that general enthusiasm, or more, it's less enthusiasm and more just curiosity. Right, it is Superman. At the end of the day, it is something that really even transcends a character that is part of the fabric of American culture. It's not. It transcends comics. So, yeah, I think that just the set of circumstances, understanding what happened, like Snyderverse, and going into it, there's a lot of curiosity there. So, yeah, people are gonna have some sort of enthusiasm about it. The thing is, though, especially with what's happening with this universe, it has to be good. Like, it has to be, and for their own sake, not for me. I'm not saying that like, oh, well, if I need to enjoy it. No. I am just saying, like, they have this thing planned out with all these other heroes. You got Supergirl thing coming up and everything else is happening.
Yeah.
Like, all that's contingent on all that. It's Superman. Superman has to kick this thing off right. And if it does, they'll have some momentum going into the other project. So I'm not at all surprised that would be doing better than the Fantastic Four at this stage, just giving what's on the line. But that doesn't mean that everything post Superman is going to
Right.
do better than everything else that's happening with Marvel
Yeah.
either. So it's I think it's just a great set of circumstances. You're relaunching your universe. It's general curiosity, and you're at least going to get some people that are getting in initially, and we'll see what happens after that.
Yeah, we absolutely will see what happens. And
Okay.
again, especially given the type of writing and directing that James Gunn does, like I'm trying to imagine, based on what we know of James Gunn's previous work up until now, how does he write a comic accurate Clayface, or how does he direct a comic accurate Clayface? Like that's a serious character, you know. The
Not wrong, no.
Quips are not really going to work that well in that type of thing.
That's why he has other people to do it. Like he got other people that's going to be doing it. Yeah. So like, but what?
Feige power.
But to give James Gunn credit, what he did tell the fans was like, listen, we're not like Rippa. He kind of took some of your rules or something. We ain't doing anything without script. The script got to be done before we ever shoot out anything. Like we need a 100% done script. Yeah, we want a 100% done script. And I don't care how long it takes or whatever. Your script needs to hit. I need to feel it or whatever. If it ain't connected to what I got going on, then you need to go back to rewrite. I think that's what you be telling some of your employees too.
Well,
or whatever.
I mean,
if you're not,
yeah, he had, like I said, he has a lot going for him. Just giving everything that's on the line. It's just it's James Gunn, and you're not dealing with Suicide Squad, you're not dealing with Guardians of the Galaxy. You are dealing with arguably the most iconic superhero character of all time. Yeah, right. Like
hopefully,
and then you gotta.
He's the godfather of superheroes, pretty much.
That's what I'm saying. So this is a different animal, and this is why again I didn't think that he was the right guy for it, just because it'd be one thing if you were like, okay, we're gonna have James Gunn be a part of this universe, and he's going to do some obscure freaking superhero team of villains or something. I don't know, or super villain team or whatever. Like I don't know, Sinister Six. I don't know what he's gonna do. Like. Then you be like, okay, maybe he can do something like that, but Superman. I just was like, I don't know, man. If you got that in you, just because of from what I've seen, and even with like some of the trailers, you talked about like some of those quips and the comedic stuff. Like, it does seem a little over reliant on that. But like I said, I just don't think that works for maybe Suicide Squad. That works for Guardians. I don't know if that works for Superman. I don't think it works for Superman, or at least the Superman that people want. You know what I mean? Like the version that people want. And the more definitive versions of that character. So I don't know. It's in everybody's best interest that it does well. Even me as a comic guy, more people being enthusiastic about comics is great for even my business, right? But again, it's an uphill battle, man. That's for sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
It has to slap.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're coming up on our 1 hour, and we got a meme to show you, Rippa, and we got some stuff some questions, questions from the chat. So we got a meme from our good friend M Campu fan. He requested us to show you this, and it is
shout out to him.
Yeah.
So before we get to outros, we just have a meme, and we have just a couple of questions. We don't want to make anything too long. Don't want to keep
no, do your thing. I'll answer all the questions.
We got a meme here, and this had to be explained to me because I had no idea what this was even in reference to. But here we have it. I don't even know what game it's supposed to
That's
be.
The intergalactic. I forget the damn name. Heretic. I forget the damn name. It's the Naughty Dog. The silly Naughty Dog.
Oh no, it's a new Naughty Dog.
Oh man,
Naughty Dog.
What is intergalactic heretic? Something I don't remember.
Intergalactic heretic, I think is the name.
That's
something.
And he did. Yeah.
Get out of here. Get out of here.
Shout out to Campu fan, and we got a few questions from the. We opposed everybody to throw out some questions, and
yeah. And we got a couple of questions here. Let's see if we can get some quick ones in. Sophie asked one saying, Rippa, who is your favorite character that you did not have a hand in? I don't know if this is specifically in the Rippaverse.
It would have to be specifically to the Rippaverse. I would imagine that's a tough one because
it's like all your children. You're picking your favorite child.
Yeah, like that's a tough one because all of these
apart,
characters, like there are some awesome ones that the sisters have created, obviously, and you know, the easier answers are like Horseman and Zaylin. Those are easier answers. But it's hard to give a favorite. But if I just absolutely had to, just for the sake of conversation, I will say this much: Stefania, which was created by the Saska sisters that are now kind of attached to Yaira and even Alpha Core. Very intriguing character that they created that is kind of going through this rough little redemption arc of hers here, and it's really cool to see that we're getting this very early in our universe because you know, people love her. I love Stefania, but seeing the fans reactions to her as well, that, you know, she has some of the powers to Yaira, but she's really, you know, Yaira's rough around the edges. This chick is even more so. And even Alpha Core having a little bit of difficulty containing her. So it's really cool to see where we're at now that we have a character like that. And I'm interested because, again, I don't necessarily have a hand. There are some things that I've suggested just from the editor, like, you know, perspective, but that's very much the Saskas and where they're help taking the character. And I love what they're doing with Stefania. So that would be my answer.
Ooh, wonderful, great answer. And one more quick one. And I think I know what he means by this. MCampu fan asks, what was the comic story that brought Rippa into the comic world? And what I think he means by that is either what brought you specifically as the person, Eric July, into comics, or was there a specific comic story that ignited the idea of Rippaverse inside of you?
Oh, it could go either way. As far as reading it now, if he's referring to like what got me into comics, I say this all the time. Wally West was Flash when I was growing up. It was the first comic, a good set of comics that I was reading at the time. I believe, was it Mark Waid? I think was doing he was. And then I think even Mark Millar did. Mark Miller did some as well of those comics within that same arc. But yeah, so Flash was the first character that I got introduced, and again, considering the time, that kind of popped everything off. Reason being, fast character. I was a really fast athlete, like young athlete as a kid. I did track and field all the way through the collegiate level, so that speed never left. But I was really young, and that was a character that I resonated with because of his speed. You know, when you're young, you like the cool powers and stuff like that. And then when you get older, you start to kind of understand more of the complexity with the characters and the storylines. So following Wally West's story and then learning more about kind of like DC's universe as I got older, if we're talking to like an actual arc, you know, that I love and I'm always referencing, came out before I was alive, but going back retroactively and reading some of these stories, it's got to be the the original Crisis on Infinite Earths. And it's just you know, beautiful book, by the way, but more so in what it meant for DC, trying to collapse all their universes into one, which is awesome. And you know, I really loved that. And it was the first big crossover. I think it's the definitive big first crossover massive event, which is really cool. But that was what like really helped with my love just for comics in general. It all started with Flash.
That's what's up.
So
Rippa,
So right before the end, I guess I'm a big video game player. Are you excited for any new video games that are coming out? I know that they're redoing Gears of War. We're getting Reloaded soon. The beta comes out tomorrow for the multiplayer. What are you excited for?
Man, that's such a good question. I'm trying to think of some that are off the top. I know there's some recent ones that I want to get into. Still haven't been very busy. Wanted to get on this Night Rain with the Elden Ring cooperative stuff. Really want to get into that. I'm not seeing a whole lot of new action RPGs that are on the horizon. I know that we'll see. Was it Crimson Desert? I think that may be coming out soon. I'm a big. That's more what I gravitate towards right now is the action RPGs, particularly online ones. If they have an online element, but action RPGs are where it's at for me. And I'm not seeing a whole lot that I can think of off the top of my head that's on the way. But yeah, I for sure want to get my hands on this new Elden Ring DLC and play with some bros, so I can really get into that.
Right on.
That's what's up.
So
Well,
we know you.
Rippa,
We know you.
gotta go. I was gonna say, Rippa, I know you're a busy man. I promise you assistant an hour. I'm sorry that we went over a little 2 minutes and everything.
Dude, it's all good. Don't even worry about that. Appreciate you, man.
Is there anything that you want to plug? Because I know you got a couple conventions that are coming up, and maybe one day that you'll come to Houston, Texas for Comapalooza. Just one day. Just want to plug that one in. But but anyway, is there anything that you want to plug, Rippa? Because I know you're a busy man. You got to make those $multi-million for your business.
I appreciate that, but no, we got a lot going right now. Tomorrow's a big day. We have Death Shroud coming out with for the Ripascend. A lot of people are excited about that. We got Death Shroud. We got closing tomorrow, Yaira 3, at 11 p.m. Central as well. So it'll be one comics coming out in the morning, and then at night we'll be closing down that. And obviously Saints and Sinners doing well, hit over 8,000 books. So I appreciate everybody that's got their Saints and Sinners books. But yeah, man, I just appreciate it. Anything that people are getting from the Rippaverse, we're getting a lot of new customers coming in, getting some of the older books, and we appreciate everybody that's doing that. So no specific plugs. That's what's going on with us right now. We just appreciate everybody's support. I appreciate y'all having me on today as well. But I just appreciate
welcome
everybody.
Back anytime. You're welcome back.
That sounds good to me. For sure, we'll do it, man. I just appreciate everybody. You guys, everybody.
I got your information.
Yeah, you got it now. So hit me up, man.
I got your information.
We'll make it happen again. But appreciate y'all.
I'm gonna be at SpaceCon. I'm gonna be at SpaceCon though. I will be at SpaceCon. I will be at SpaceCon, and I'll try to make the BillCon too. I'm gonna try to make it to that one too.
BillCon is a good one.
I'm gonna try to make that one to the. Yeah.
So come on at us, but I'll see you there if we if you do end up coming, man. I'm looking forward to it.
Absolutely.
Phantom, go ahead and take us out of here, man.
Thank you so much for coming on, and you're an absolutely fantastic guest. Love speaking with you. You answered questions so just you gave good answers.
It was fun.
Thank God you gave
it was fun
and concise answers, and I loved it. I had fun with it. Thank you so much for coming on. And yes, as Chris said, we would love to have you back on. And just thank you so much for coming on. Thank you so much. We really genuinely appreciate it a great deal. Thank you.
Thank you.
And before I shut this down, to the Saskas, we'll be in touch. Good night, everybody.
Yes, Saska. Yes, good night. Peace out, Saskas. We'll get in touch. Like for real.
Like the stream, nerds.
Peace out, guys.